My girlfriend and I were watching a YouTube video the other day discussing yet another Bible passage condoning some horrible, morally bankrupt act. She said out of frustration, "Why don't these people see this? Is it because they don't actually read their Bible?" For the majority of people, this is true. They never actually read and believe what they were told instead of reading for themselves. However, this is not true about many Christians like I was. I knew the Bible like the back of my hand, and I was an avid study of science. By anyone's standards, I was smart. However, not all my brain was smart. When I start out teaching a math class, some of the students haven't taken math for 35 years. I tell them that this math class will be like coming to the gym. It will be a workout for the brain, and you can all succeed, but it requires work and practice. The math portion of the brain has not been exercised. It is flabby and lazy and needs a good workout, otherwise it won't work. This is true with many parts of the brain. Prior to a few years ago, I hated writing. I loathed and despised it. The writing portion of my brain did not have the correct neuron connections to allow me to enjoyably get my thoughts and ideas out. College classes, over a more than 4-year period, forced those neurons to connect to efficiently write. The inefficient way my brain worked on writing made a 2-page paper sound overwhelming. I now write about 2 pages for each video I do, and I enjoy it. This is also true about science and the scientific process. Watch my videos on academic laziness and my high school chemistry experience for more on my experience in this. When you are smart or good at something, that doesn't mean that you are good at other things. Someone made the claim that the number 3 chemists in America believed in intelligent design. Really? His expertise was in what? Oh yeah, chemistry, which has little interaction with the life sciences. That is why we are so field-specific in science, and we defer to those sciences as they are good at those fields and we are not. We did not work out those parts of our brain, but we didn't need to. That's how division of labor works. If a child is not encouraged, or at worst, discouraged from using parts of the brain, then those parts will never be cultivated and mature. If a child is told sports good and elitist thinking bad, then the child will develop very good athletic ability, but never learn to think beyond his realm of experience. Spiritual feelings occur in the temporal lobe. I was taught that truth and spirituality were important and doubt was bad. So I have a feeling that my temporal lobe area matured fast and my critical thinking area lay dormant and undeveloped. I'm wondering if the spirituality region is strong in children, but stops giving you spiritual feeling as it is used and matures. This is a term I use called the perception filter of evil. It is like in Doctor Who or Douglas Adams, where it's standing in plain sight, but your brain doesn't want to see it, so it ignores it. The passage about the 2 bears mauling the crap out of 42 kids for calling someone bald shows evil from God. But if the doubt and critical thinking areas of the brain are weak and flabby, then thinking about it is much too exhausting and takes work. So their brains do what they are best at, and that is to make up explanation, even if there's no evidence in the text or reality. They really do not know how to think critically. Unscientific explanations have worked all their life, so why change it? If you use comparative literature, the story of Elisha sounds more like a Brothers Grimm tale than a real event anyway, and was probably used to scare children to respect their elders, as local folk heroes can have lots of myths wrapped around them, much like the evolution of Robin Hood. Look him up on Wikipedia for information. It's a really fascinating evolution he's had over the past 1,000 years. Creating claims about the Bible that makes logical sense, even if there's no evidence, does require intelligence. However, for people who had imagination and memorization encouraged, these areas of the brain are well developed, which is why people go, look, that person is smart and he believes in God. If you aren't good at critical thinking and relying on evidence, anything logical must be true. People who had both imagination and critical thinking suppressed, but are really good at memorization, tend to instead use the us versus them style of thinking and assume that the other side must have malicious intent, and instead of rationalizing it, will vilify the enemy as imagination and critical thinking centers of the brain are so unused. When an undeveloped area of the brain is challenged and forced to work, the person will feel stupid, because that area of the brain is stupid. This will make them feel uncomfortable and inadequate. They will instead combine the areas of the brain that they are good at and try to counter it, and in their frustration or even anger, they may be making a direct, blatant lie, even when it is pointed out to them. They will never see it either because it sounds logical or because you are from the enemy and just trying to trick me. This is especially true if a person considers themselves intelligent and a cognitive dissonance occurs when they are pointed out that they are not good at something. As I've said before, the hard sciences like life science and chemistry really don't teach the scientific process until grad school. It wasn't until I began encountering more scientific educated people that my critical thinking areas became challenged. They would ask me my scientific evidence for ideas I had, like alternative medicine, and I would get frustrated with them because my argument was so creative and logical. They began to force me to cite evidence if what I was saying was true, especially my girlfriend, as learning to use the scientific method is essential to archaeology, as the field is nothing but discovering new things. Hard sciences tend to involve learning a lot of facts, and only later will they learn the process if they want to go on to higher education. Skills like grasping free speech are also traits that must be learned in practice, and the brain must learn to make those connections. People question why the moderate Muslims are not protesting terrorists. I think for the most part, many of them have not even thought they could. I had neighbors from Turkey who were extremely nice and hospitable people. However, they really had no political opinion. They distrusted the police because they were so corrupt in Turkey, which is lucky for us because we got several calls from the cops from neighbors about the volume of our music. They were used to living next to noise in Turkey because they lived close together, so if it was too loud, they never admitted it to us. He admired how open and direct Americans were and how firmly they stated their opinion. After about a year of living here, they were finally able to get free speech down pat and use it on certain issues. Prior to that, why hold strong opinions if talking about it is such a taboo and a danger? If we can exercise the parts of our brain that allow us to have science and reason, then we will all be better off as a nation. America is not just a nation of flabby bodies, but it has become a nation of flabby-minded people as well. Fight brain obesity. Think.